Let's listen to another track from the record. I'm not going to ask you to talk about it. If you want to say anything about it, we can do that afterwards. This is from the album Climate of Hunter, Scott Walker and Dealer. From the album Climate of Hunter, that's called Dealer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the songs for the record were written in a creative rush that lasted about 2 months. I heard you at least say this on the radio earlier in the week. If that's true, to what extent then is it an album that's descriptive just of that period of time, or does it reflect the way you were feeling during the years before finally making the record?
Yes, it reflects the way I was feeling and the way to get to it, basically. So.
What else was necessary then to get to that point? I'm not now talking about writing songs necessarily. I'm talking about things that you go through on a day-to-day basis. I mean, what did your daily routine, for instance, look like before you finally got back to writing and recording?
I suppose much like the mass unemployed in Britain, sort of, I don't know, I would just, I was fortunate enough to be able to have many times enough time to read enough, to see enough films, to see enough of the things I enjoy, and throw the Protestant work ethic away. You know, it was that kind of thing.
Perhaps we can talk in a minute about some of the things that you might have seen or read a little more specifically. But before that, I mean, was it a conscious decision on your part, after the Walker Brothers had gotten back together, had made a couple of albums, to then stop and do something else, to have time for yourself again?
No. What had happened, are you talking about the 70s Walker Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah. This company we were with, GTO, was dissolving, and I was the producer on those albums, and I said, and on the Walker Brothers albums too. I was a co-producer in the early days, but this was a different thing. It was all in my lap. So I said to the other guys, this is going to be the last album, so everybody just get as self-indulgent as you want. Just do what you want to do. And that's how that came about. And so after that, from this album, Virgin signed me.
You say that you said to the others, become as self-indulgent as you wish to be. I'm sure that's not to be taken entirely seriously. On the other hand, the album was split very much between the three of you. The first 4 songs on the first side were yours. The last one on the first and the second was credited to Gary Leeds, and the other 4 came from John Walker. Was that, again, a decision to separate the three of you very much? Because it does sound like that. It's like 3 different people just sharing the same album.
Well, John's on all of my tracks. I'm not on his, because that's the way he heard it. No, that wasn't a conscious decision to separate any. I mean, only because when I was writing the Night Flights, I had him in mind above me all the time. So it might have been a subconscious decision.
What's he doing now? Because I read recently that he's signed to Rough Trade, and there was an album due for him, I think, some time ago that's never appeared.
No, he made a single with his wife. They're doing a duo. And he asked me to help him on this. And he has a very staid idea about what should happen, as all the people in the business do. And there was not a lot I could do. I don't know if they ever released it. I'm not aware of it. But it wasn't an LP, it was just a single.
Does that mean that you don't have much contact to one another anymore?
Oh, yeah, I do. But when I get into conversations with him about that, he hedges it slightly. I don't know what happened to that record. Oh, yeah, I talked to them 2 or 3 times a month at least. So we're very friendly.
What's he doing now?
Well, he's just waiting for this single to come out, you know.
Unemployed as you were, in other words.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. He does a lot of he has a lot of publishing connections, so maybe he's working in publishing in some way. And Gary's working in advertising, doing jingles and things like that.
Let's go back again for a minute to the point where that album was made, completed. You said that GTO was in the process of dissolving at the time, and that was the main reason why you then were not able to record afterwards. But I'm sure if you'd really wanted at that stage to get back into recording more quickly than you finally did, it would have been possible. I can only assume, therefore, that there must have been some other reason for not getting back and recording earlier than that.
Well, the reason was that I had gone through just a spate of making a lot of bad records, and I had to pull myself together to make to try to get back to a state that I was in when I was making my good records. Not that I could ever achieve that same state because you're younger then, but I had to make, at least, if this was going to be my last record, a final good record anyway. So for me it was good.
There are various ways, of course, of stopping. I mean, one of the things that stops people sometimes doing one thing is that something else happens in which they become much more interested. I mean, the obvious example of that would be John Lennon, who stopped recording. He was criticized by everybody, almost everybody, for doing so, but had his own reasons, personal reasons, family reasons for not recording. Was there a main reason, though, in your case, for wanting to do something else, or did you simply stop doing what you were doing? I mean, the reason that I'm keeping on this point is that the fact that I find the new record interesting has a lot to do with the fact that you've not been doing anything as far as the public is concerned for a long time, because one of the problems sometimes of talking to people about music is if they're so involved with the music business and they put out an album on a regular basis, their whole life revolves around the music. And it's very hard then to get away from that. And I find the new record, as I say, for that reason, interesting. What must be in back of it?
Well, that is a problem when you're recording a lot of material, or when you consider yourself to be prolific. You do have to live with a constant. You're in a constant situation where, oh hey, what's the next interview? What's the next this and that? And you really have to take a breather. I'm not saying everyone should take a 6-year breather, but you have to take. You know, to get away from that, to see any kind of light at all. I don't know, for me it was a question of almost, without sounding too pompous or pretentious, sinning. I had committed to myself so many sins. I was trying to make up for it in the struggle to get back was harder because of that. You know, I'm talking about sins as far as work is concerned. Well, of course, I committed many others, but I'm talking about work here. You know, but also living is paramount to me. I didn't spend all the time just thinking of this record either. You know, then you would become insane in another way, you know.
We'll listen to another track from the record. As I say, it was conceived over a longer period, but finally written down during a much briefer period of time. It conveys to me an atmosphere that's present on all of the tracks. I'm sure that you, obviously, being that much closer to it, can see lots of differences track to track, but I'm sure most people listening to it for the first time would get the impression that it's a statement in itself. I'm not talking now about the statement that's being made by the lyrics. I'm talking about the actual presence of the album when you listen to it as an entirety for the first time. And perhaps after we've heard this track, we could talk a little bit about that. This is track 3 from the album Climate of Hunter. From Climate of Hunter. The Electrician, which we heard earlier, you said and explained was a political song, whereas the song that we heard after it, Sleepwalker's Woman, was not. Without once again asking you to explain songs, are the songs on the new record, though, personal to you, or are they related in any way to specific events that have taken place whilst you've been living in England, whilst you've not been recording?
Well, all at once, both things. And though they're personal, I think that they are accessible, or should be accessible to everyone who would have the patience to try to listen, and they should at some level be resonating. I don't know. Everyone will listen to it in a different way, I imagine, but it should work. I was working towards that, so that it should work all the way around. I'm not, in other words, I'm not a cut-up writer. It's not that sort of process.
Are you a logical writer then, in that sense, that you start at the beginning and work your way through a song, or do you find that specific ideas occur to you that you jot down and then work from one idea either forwards or backwards?
No, I mean, that can happen. It can work in bits, but generally speaking, with this album, it didn't seem to work like that. It just came to me as it should have done at that time, as I thought it would do.